Hi, everybody, and welcome to the NDSC podcast, a place to share ideas for future and new management doctoral students. I am your host, Jose, and I have prepared for you a couple of episodes we recorded at the 2022 Academy of Management annual meeting, live from Seattle. In this series of episodes, you'll hear from faculty and students. They all provide some great advice that I think will be super helpful for your Ph.D. journey. I hope you enjoy these conversations as much as I enjoyed recording them. Thanks for hearing us and welcome again. My next guest is Chris Winchester. He's a Ph.D. student at the Carlson School of Management in the University of Minnesota. As you will hear in this podcast, I met Chris personally at another conference, and we started to work together virtually to organize the NDSC last year. So I consider Chris a great friend. He has an amazing spirit, always happy, always joyful. So I think having his perspective as a PhD student in this podcast is great, and it will be super helpful for everybody. Enjoy. So Chris, I tend to start just by asking more about the person, not the PhD student or the academic. So what do you want to share with us that has nothing to do with your PhD, with being an academic or working towards being an academic? Hobbies, things you do in your spare time, something more friendly and humane.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that as a first question. I have so many different hobbies and interests. I'm a huge collector of several different things. But really, so my biggest passion is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I am beyond obsessed with those movies and TV shows. I've literally designed a website to track all of the different movies and shows and information to keep myself updated. I honestly do more research on the MCU than I do for my own research, which maybe I shouldn't be saying on this podcast, but hey, I'm very honest with everything. And so I know everything there is to know about the Marvel movies. I've never read a comic though, so some people are going to hate me from that aspect, but I love the movies. I'm obsessed with them, and I'm a huge fan of the Green Bay Packers, which, don't ask me if they end to beat cheese when we lose every championship game, but I can also say I'm like a part owner, because the Packers, if you don't know, they do the shareholder thing that you can buy and gets you nothing except a piece of paper.
The pride of being an owner.
Yeah, the pride of being an owner. So in the fall, that's what keeps me busy.
Nice.
Is I'm always watching those games. And then I'm at the University of Minnesota. Minnesota, big shocker, is freaking cold. I hate the cold.
Oh, yeah?
I'm a huge fan of the warmth. Not necessarily the heat, but I prefer the heat over the cold. And so I love to play sand volleyball. But of course, that's only like 3 months out of the year in the summer, because then otherwise all the sand pits are just covered in snow. But that's what keeps me fit and active for 3 out of the 12 months.
It's 25% of the year.
Yeah, it's 25. I think that's a much better outlook than saying I don't do anything the other 75% of the year.
Perfect, Chris. So now going to more the questions at interest. What brought you to a PhD program? Why you decided to kind of like pursue this route, this career?
Yeah, so this was not something I was planning on doing whatsoever. I wanted to be a business owner. I owned a wedding planning and full design business before coming into academia. It was super fun. I'm a hopeless romantic. I love being creative. I love planning, and hence why you, Jose, and I we just plan the whole new doctoral student consortium and all these different things. But it was my senior year of undergrad, in which I got to write an honors thesis, trying to frame my language nicely so it's not like, oh, I had to do that. I tried to tell myself, no, I got to do that. Where I wrote an honors thesis, and I had to do research in it was a commerce and behavioral laboratory.
Okay.
There's only like 10 or 11 across the country, so we were super fortunate to have that. And so you can it has the EEGs, where you can track the brain waves and the heart rate and all those different things. This is so freaking cool. And I just fell in love with that. Did And at the time, I thought it was an amazing study. Looking back on that, no journal would ever take anything that I did at that stage. Go figure. But I just fell in love with research, and I'm like, well, can I do this for a living? Turns out, yes, I can be a professional nerd. And so I went on to continue school. I got my MBA, and I wasn't all that interested in the classes. I was more interested in just doing research during that time to hopefully have one day a PhD program would actually look at me and be interested in me. And I was fortunate that Minnesota was actually interested. I still ask them why sometimes. But it was initially just doing that research project and my love for being an absolute nerd that drove me into it. And then I got that experience with research and teaching and fell in love with like benefiting the students in the field. And like there's something just innately interesting about being the first person to know something that has never been studied or known before.
I love that. That's pretty cool.
And that's what drives me. That's what gets me up in the morning.
That's pretty awesome. So, okay, let's talk about the good things. What is kind of like the best thing for you about a PhD, right? About this career? What is the most fulfilling thing?
The most fulfilling. Do I gotta pick one? I would say, beyond the fact that one day I'll be called doctor. A side note, it was always a dream of mine to be like, instead of like, I now pronounce you Mr. and Mrs. at the wedding, it's like, I now pronounce you Doctor and Doctor, which won't happen. My future fiance is not a nerd like I am. Wickedly smarter than I am, but just not a nerd. And so I think honestly, like being able to make an impact, that's how I'm going to fit into one answer. Because when teaching, you get to impact students. I'm one of the strange ones. I absolutely love teaching. With research, you get to impact other researchers. You get to impact practitioners when that's like put into like HBR and pop press articles. Being able to make an impact on others in this field is so just fundamentally inspiring and just so fun. That is my favorite thing about being able to get a PhD, just continuing on to be a professional nerd.
Awesome. I really like that. And so the other side of the coin, what's kind of like one of the biggest challenges of doing a PhD?
Again, just one. But I'll remind those listening, I said just one for the fun things too, because I absolutely love this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. So I think the biggest challenge is finding the balance. And I don't like the saying like work-life balance, because there's so much more than just work and life. Because each of those have so many different aspects to it, where you have your friends, your family, your like romantic relationships, yourself. Then at work you have research, teaching, service, classes. There's all these different components, which yes, break down to work life. But I don't like to think of it as like work life, because you want equal balance within each of those.
Yes.
And finding that equal balance is so hard to do. And I'm a planner, as mentioned before. I was a wedding planner. And so I have to literally map out every single aspect of my day. I will be like personal time, like eating lunch by myself. Otherwise, I just won't do it, because I'll schedule in something else. And in our field, oftentimes that's someone else. Research, teaching, service, that will fill in the time. Yeah. So I always have to make sure like I map that out, and that has been such a hard challenge for me to figure out and still continuously to do. But just finding that balance, I think, is the biggest challenge. So I'm gonna go a little bit deeper there. How do you do it? Do you have like a journal or like a just a notebook, and you put like you break down your day, or you do it in your phone and you're kind of like calendar in your phone? I mean, I think I'm going more to the nitty picky, but I think it's helpful. Yeah, no, I love this. I'm all about like efficiencies, productivity. This is my kind of thing. So actually, what you said, I do both. Okay. So for anything that's like time oriented, I have my like Google Calendar, because that's what we use, and everyone can like see like when we have meetings with each other and all that kind of stuff. But for tasks, none of that goes in my calendar. I am an old dinosaur, apparently, even though I'm in my mid-20s, and I've never been hip at all. And so I write down on paper still in a planner. All my friends refer to it as my little blue book, because I always have it on me. It's a little blue planner, hence the little blue book. And I break down, every Sunday evening, I map out what I'm going to do for the week. Because on my calendar, I can see all the things that I have coming up. And I know when things are due. I put due dates on there as well. And so I know what I need to get done that week. And I map out based on the days what I have time for. And so on my calendar, I have like individual work time. But then that refers me to my planner where I'll have all the tasks I need to do. And there's just something so satisfying about just physically just crossing something off. Or on those brutal days, just really just crossing off the words so you can't see it anymore. Not just one little line, it's blacked out.
So what's been the best advice you received that I think it has helped you in this journey of your PhD?
I think the best advice, go figure, it came from my advisor. I don't know if I would say it was actually advice that she gave, but it's something she uses as a icebreaker question that I now steal, and it's, where do you feel vocal? And so I kind of turned that into my own advice indirectly, where I was like, find where you feel local, because you'll hear from a lot of people, you cannot make it in this field if you are not like mentally and physically healthy. And finding where you feel local, like going to a PhD program. I have never been to Minnesota before getting into the PhD program, and a lot of us go to places where we're not from. We may not have family, friends, anything there to start with. And so finding that place, for me, it's really just going around any lake. Ironically, that's not why I picked Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, but it was a really nice side benefit. Yeah. And I go there every single day and I walk around, and that's because I heard my advisor's like icebreaker question to, where do you feel local? I'm like, I need to find where I feel local here, because you can find that anywhere.
Nice. I love it. Pretty unique, but it's pretty cool. I love it. Share a resource that you found helpful in your PhD, and this could be maybe a workshop, a paper, a conference you like, that you think that can be helpful for others.
Honestly, so I have like one for like every aspect, but one of the best resources have been honestly my friends in that aspect, like for like emotional support. Then for like research methods and analyses, the best thing I have found is Laird. It's Laerd, statistics. They have all of the like core, like I'm not good at statistics to start with. I've definitely improved over the past 2 years. Turns out you do learn stuff during your PhD program. Who would have thought? But that website has like every single, like they have like 50 of the, like the most common analyses and exactly how to run them in SPSS, and it tells you all the assumptions that you need to meet, how to test for those assumptions, and how to write those up in APA style.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is phenomenal. And they have a test thing on there where it's like, it asks you like what's your IV, how many do you have, what's your DV, how many of those do you have, all those types of things. It's for basic models. Like if you're doing SEM, it's not going to walk you through that.
Yeah. But still.
But for all the basic like regressions, that's the stuff you start with.
Yeah.
It walks you through all that, and it is phenomenal. And then for teaching, the conference we went to this summer, I have to play them. It was the Management and Organizational Behavior Teaching Society Conference, MOBTS for short, because that was a mouthful. Yep. Oh man, it was phenomenal. Like met Jose there, like made such good friends there, and I learned so many innovative practices for teaching. So if you're prepping for teaching, I highly recommend that conference. It was amazing. Yeah. So hopefully that's a little bit of like the personal research and teaching side of resources.
I think that was great. I think that was actually great, because I think sometimes, suggestions come only in one level, but I think that was perfect.
Yeah, we got to balance out all the aspects, right?
Yeah, and the MOBTS, I second that. It was an amazing conference. It was great. We met tons of great people, so it's pretty fun. Yeah. And so before we go to this little game of the random cards, so we searched questions, right, from past NDC participants. So I have a selection here, and you will pick randomly. But before we're at AOM, now that we're almost done with AOM, any advice for AOM first timers? I think if I'm correct, it's your first time too,
Yeah,
in
this is
person,
my
right?
first time in person.
Same
I know,
as-
it's
same-
crazy.
I'm a third year, but this is my first time in person.
Same.
Thanks COVID.
Yeah.
But any advice for first timers?
Everyone conferences differently. Don't let someone, ironically, don't let someone give you advice on how to do AOM. Like, ask a ton of people for advice. I'm not saying don't ask anyone for advice. That's a bad idea. Ask everyone for advice, and ultimately do what you are comfortable. Well, you should get out of your comfort zone, but do ultimately like what you are comfortable and happy and excited for.
Yeah.
If that is going to every single paper session you want to, great. If that's only doing PDWs, great. If that's only networking and talking to people, great. But if I were to give a piece of advice, I'm like going back on my word here, find at least one friend. Or make at least one friend because it's your first time. Because these people you will see again and again and again. I was personally shocked coming here because you see on the registration like, oh, there's like 9,000 attendees given it's hybrid, so quite a few are online, but there's thousands of people here. You have your division, and that like 9,000 whittles down very quickly. Everyone in the field knows each other, so as a note of caution as well. And everywhere I go, I see people that I have known and met, and I am an introvert. I'm not naturally good at making connections with people. I'm not good at forcing myself to just talking. And so just find one friend. I think if you can do that, you have had a successful conference, but then do whatever you want to do. Like, make it your own.
I like that advice. It was pretty like on point. Perfect. Okay, so let's go. So we have like 20 cards here.
These are nice cards too. I know you can't see them on the podcast, but these things are
and
fancy.
then you can choose one, and
Right.
then that's gonna be the random question you're gonna answer for us.
All right. Should I?
Yeah, you can read it.
Okay. The knowledge or skills needed to be equipped with before starting Ph.D. studies. Oh, wow. Okay, at least it says skills, plural. So every single person comes in with different capabilities. So I'm going to skirt around this question initially because I don't think there's any set of skills or knowledge that you need to come in with.
Okay.
I think you need to come in with an attitude of excitement and passion for learning, research, being a nerd. Because everything else can be taught to you, whether that's methods, stats, research. You just need to come in excited and willing to learn. So I don't think there's necessarily like a set of knowledge or skills you need. I came in with some research background that was helpful, but I had no clue how to do stats. The closest thing to stats I knew how to do was that I knew what a regression was. That was literally the extent of it, and I'm doing like complex analyses because I learned in the program. So I don't know if there's necessarily like any knowledge or skills you need. You just need the right attitude, and then you'll be taught the rest.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's awesome. I think it was a great way to answer the question because, yeah, it's not there, but I think the attitude is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Everything else you can learn, or there's going to be a ways. You're going to have time, although it goes fast.
It does, faster than you think.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Chris. I think this is going to be a great episode. I think it's going to be super helpful for everybody. And thanks for your time, and enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thank you so much, Jose, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thanks for joining me. And please stay in the loop for our next episode. I really hope everything we share here contributes to a happy and better PhD journey for you.